In other news that actually matters, what's up, Two Pockets? How are you guys doing? Hopefully the internet's better today. I yelled at people on the phone today. I just screamed, spent hours screaming on the phone, yelling at people, just being an alpha male, screaming. You know I was screaming. You know they had me screaming, on the phone. So I was screaming on the phone. You know they had me screaming. Anyway, uh, hopefully the internet works better today. Hopefully the router works better. You know they had me screaming. All right. Anyway, um, the economy's crashing. What about that? One day people will look back at my streams and they'll be like, "This is like the Seinfeld of streaming, where nothing happens and it's not funny." That's what it's gonna be like. Anyway, I was looking at it. I kind of noticed everything's crashing, but then I really thought about it. Let's go by market cap here. Yeah, market cap, whatever. And what's going on? Apple, forget about Apple. Who cares about Apple? All these companies that are making a lot of money are all technology. They're all money and technology. None of these companies that make a lot of money are actually doing anything. I guess Berkshire Hathaway, they do investment in stuff, but like Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Netflix, Adobe, all these big companies are not related to the quality of people. They're actually kind of inversely related. Even Walmart, they're actually kind of inversely correlated with the American people. In that, you know who spends a lot of money? This is a truth that you have to realize. It's gonna be upsetting, but you have to realize this. The reason there's black people in every commercial, it's not because it's Jewish people. And the reason it's black people, black men and white women in every commercial ever. It's not because Jewish people are mentally ill freaks. That's secondary to the point. That's just ancillary to the deal. Well, the reality is that black people are the biggest consumers and they spend the most retarded amount of money on retarded things. And so if you're a black guy and you have money from the government and you see a commercial and it shows a black guy with a white woman, you're likely to buy a product because like, ooh, I have sex with white women, and if I buy this product, they'll do that. That's why. That's the real reason. Obviously, there is obviously the Jewish mental illness of race mixing and the Jewish obsession with black people because Jewish women all have sex with black men, which is true. Every single Jewish woman ever in the world has had sex with at least 3 black guys. That's actually true. By the time they turn 19, it's not pedophilia. It's not, wait, they're 19. They're 18. They have 3 sex with at least 3 black guys. That's every single black woman ever. Sorry, every single Jewish woman. But that's true. So it's not really that, even though they are kind of obsessed with it. It's the fact that they're good consumers. They're good goyim. That's true. Same with women. Yeah, everything is marketed to brown people, women, and children because those are the people who buy stuff. But what's interesting, there's some sort of analysis that you're not going to hear elsewhere, however you say it. You're not going to hear it somewhere else because other people don't really think about this stuff because other people are either doing stuff or they're mentally ill. They're usually mentally ill and doing stuff, but either they're obsessed with politics and like whatever culture war stuff, or they're just busy working. So you're not really going to get this analysis anywhere else. Is that all these companies that are big are like tech companies. And tech companies, they provide a digital product and it doesn't matter. They don't really have an incentive. The reason you have a good military and the reason you have a good society in the past was because you had somebody who has a bunch of gold, right? And I'll draw a little map, right? You have this person, right? A person right here, they have a huge amount of gold and they want to keep this gold. And so they have to have a huge military because they don't want to have somebody else with the military take their gold, right? And so you end up with the military, but in order to have a military, you have to have food. In order to have food, you have to have a society, and the society has to function in order to get more military age people. And this is the basis of like a country, right? Military age people to defend your stuff, your gold, right? And so as an incentive, the incentive structure is for the rich people, for the kings, for the rich, capitalist people to have a properly functioning society because they want to keep their gold. And if they don't have, they don't have proper, people, the proper people won't have a proper military, they won't invent weapons, they won't have an army. And as a result, they are incentivized to make sure the citizens are healthy, right? They are incentivized. The citizens are strong. The citizens are smart. Not so smart that they kill the guy and take their gold, but smart enough that they can make inventions and military stuff and learn and be powerful enough to have an army to, defend and take over other people's gold and defend their own gold, right? And that's really the incentive structure, right? And it's kind of similar if you're somebody who is making money in your society, being part of like a productive member of society. It's not just consumptive stuff. It's like selling milk or crops and that sort of stuff. You kind of are incentivized to have people who care about their health, care about people who care about getting fresh produce and that sort of stuff. So you want to incentivize your area to be nice, right? If you have real estate, you want the area where your real estate is to be nice. Because if it's nice, you can sell, you make more money renting, make more money selling houses on your land, that sort of stuff. If you're a construction company, same thing. What we have, the economy is not that. The economy in America, it really is not related to the health of the people or even the country itself, because Microsoft isn't related to just America. Neither is Google, neither is Apple, neither is Meta, neither is Amazon. Here's Nvidia, Netflix, Oracle, Adobe. None of these companies are really tied to the land or tied to the people. And what this means is they don't really have this incentive. It doesn't really matter. They actually kind of have a perverse incentive because the more brown people are, the more feminist, the more consumer, the more retarded people are, the more they can take advantage of them. Because these people, all their services, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Netflix, all these companies are related. They're really just related to like gambling. Like they hire people who do gambling, like slot machine things. And that's not about Walmart. That's not really a healthy industry, right? The way they think about things is extracting value from people. It's not really building tools for people. It's extracting value from people. And the casino is kind of the ultimate form of that, which is there's no real service being provided. It's literally just taking stuff from people. And as a result, man, the hair looks good. Thank you, doesn't it?
These are the results. There, look. And then right now.
All right, we have breaking news. We have breaking news. But really, this is what you actually have to need to be thinking about. Because, yes, the stock market is crashing right now, or at least looking like it's crashing. And things are kind of bad, but what you have to realize is the overarching, this is kind of like a microcosm, zooming out, looking at the big picture, you have to realize the biggest companies in America, the biggest producers of value or like economy, like the people have a lot of influence over, senators and congresspeople and the president and the economic policy of the country and immigration policy of the country. None of these people are actually incentivized to make America nice. Absolutely none of them. No big company is actually like their future is tied to America's future and America being nice. And so what you can infer from that is America's not going to get nicer. Okay, what you can infer from that, this is a big shocker. This is going to surprise you. But America's future and the world's future is not a world where America looks like in the 1950s America. It's not where things get nicer and more logical and people are healthier. It's where people are shopping at Walmart, on Amazon, using Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Instagram all day, playing video games, using AI. It's really bad, okay? The future is bad, and it's going to be bad. It's not going to get better. Just wipe away the idea that the future is going to get better, because it's not. Nobody who has influence in America or a ton of money or has a big business in America, a genuinely big business, is actually incentivized to make like people less consumptive, healthier, more family oriented. Because families, if you're a single person, you have a lot of money, right? Even if you don't have a lot of money, you have a lot of money. You can afford really, even if you work at a gas station, right? And no shame in working at a gas station if you have to. There is some shame if you do it long term and you're like not in control of your life and you hate your life. If you like your life and you work at a gas station, more power to you. But there is shame if you have a sucky job and you're past a certain age and you hate your life. But there's no shame, there's no shame in it for people who are just, getting on their feet, which is fine. Or happy to not have a lot of money. But even if you do that, you have a lot of like income. You have a lot of money because you don't have to pay for your wife. You don't have to pay for your kids. You have to pay for, housing, taxes, school taxes, that sort of stuff in terms of, private school, college, nanny service. Every married family is nanny service, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. So that's like more discretionary income, and that means you're going to spend more money on whatever, on Amazon, on Walmart, on Netflix, on Spotify, on Apple devices, on whatever. You're going to spend a lot more money on video games. And so that's what they're incentivized. They're incentivized to actually make things worse. And brown people, this is going to be a big shock. This was a big shock to me. I've never seen it in action because I really haven't hung out with many Mexicans. But I'll tell you something about Mexicans. And this is true. I've seen it in enough places where I know it's true. Mexican children, Mexican teenagers, Mexican workers are obsessed with pornography. All right. This is something that's completely not really my vibe. I never hung out with Mexicans. Personally, I'm not like a big Mexican fan. I don't hate Mexicans. It's not an upstate New York thing. Mexicans, they'll watch porn on their phone and in the living room with their parents across from them. All right. That's the type of consumer mindset. That's just like the brain of a Mexican. They'll sit on their couch looking at porn with the speakers on with their family in the room. So that's a much better consumer. That's somebody who's a lot better at giving you money and not being in control of their urges than me, who, the first time I ever saw porn or nakedness was probably when I was like 24. All right. That's the difference. Mexicans, 12 years old, looking at hardcore pornography, gangbangs on their phone in their living room with the volume maxed out on the Bluetooth speaker. Okay? That's what you're dealing with. And that's obviously, if you're selling a product that's not healthy or junk food or something like that, you're going to want more of those people than somebody like me. All right? I'm not doing that. Never did, never will. That's what Mexicans do, okay? That's real. I'm not lying. All right? Now, before we get back into that, we have some breaking news, some very important news for our culture. Something super important. Let's check this out. Howie Mandel's podcast.
And then right now, these are the results. There, look.
European? Siberian? East Asian?
Wait, you're
Jewish?
97% Jewish.
Yeah.
97.7% Jewish.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
You're in a room full of Jews.
Are you scared?
No shit!
Welcome to Hollywood.
Absolutely. I'm so serious.
And then right now.
Not surprising. That's kind of crazy, the 97%. I feel like that's got to be photoshopped. That's got to be an edit. There's no way it's 97, because that's like insane, dude. I gotta check out the whole clip.
All right. Back to the show. Right
That's
here.
insane.
There, look.
Yeah, that's crazy, actually. That's actually insane, because I thought that was like a Photoshop. That's wild. Industry plant? That's not dude, there's no industry. That's just, whatever. Anyway, that's something you got to think about. This is what struck me. Not that everything's red. Things go up, things go down. Maybe we go into recession, maybe we go into depression, maybe we don't. I don't know. I was wrong about banks but one big bank, I forget what it was called, the Big Bank Challenge. When that collapsed, I thought we had like a year until stuff collapsed. But that time came and went without anything happening. So I was off on that. So take it for what it's worth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more people who have influence or people who have big business, right? It's like this, right? If you have a big bunch of gold, you're going to operate in your best, your best interests to essentially make enough money. And so if that's your incentive and you're these are all consumer things. These are all just entertainment products, really. There is some actual like work that gets done. Obviously, people use Windows to program. They use Google for programming. They use, Instagram. They run a business. There are some people who use, Apple to make apps. People who buy positive things for their business on Amazon, Walmart, same thing. But the vast majority of it is pure consumer stuff. That's their core business. Is not. I would say the biggest one is Amazon. It's like what's it called? Not even the shopping. It's the AWS. AWS. So that's an exception. But even that, it's like people who use AWS, people who use hosting, people who use whatever. What are they using to make it? Like, what is their product they're making that they're using AWS for? It's something consumptive, whether it's a dating app, whether it's a social media platform, whether it's a content serving platform. Very few people are using AWS for like what I use, a service for, which is, Blue Jay, which is, let's put the Blue Jay stickers in the chat. But that's the deal. All this stuff is consumptive. All these companies are consumptive. Very few of them are productive, and they're all digital. So it doesn't really matter because they don't make their money. Apple makes their money on making good products that are expensive. But even that, it's like they offer it on a payment plan. So, if you go to a black person, every single black person has an iPhone. So the cost, even that's being subsidized. That's like even the premium products are, black people, Mexicans. I think Mexicans probably have Androids. Mexicans are more Android people. But all this stuff is consumptive. So none of these things are like requiring high IQ people. Absolutely none of these big companies are, these things have the most influence in society, really. And none of these things are really related to a quality population. So if they don't need a quality population and actually a low quality population helps them, what are they going to advocate for? What are they going to push for? What are they going to encourage in society? Things that are, make low quality people. So it doesn't really matter whether these things go up or down. What you have to think is life is going to get worse. America's going to get worse. Society's going to get worse. We reached the apex of humanity probably when I was born in 1995. That was probably the apex of the white race. Everything from that point on, we're headed down, 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 all right? And it doesn't matter. The economy, short term, it does matter, but it doesn't matter in terms of where society's headed and where civilization is headed. And where is it headed? It's headed Mexicans sitting on a couch with hardcore pornography playing on their Bluetooth on speaker from Walmart in front of their family. All right, that's where society is headed. You might watch this movie. I found this movie. It's called Idiocracy. And if you want to find out where America's headed, when I watched Idiocracy, though, I don't want to be too rude, but there's this guy I knew, and I was a roommate with him. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to cause any problems, but there was this guy I knew who was a roommate, and there's this scene in Idiocracy where this guy is watching people get their balls hit in Idiocracy, and he's sitting on a couch and he's just laughing like an idiot. And it was crazy because both me and my girlfriend, when we watched Idiocracy, we thought of this roommate I had, obnoxious, horrible roommate, and we just couldn't. We both looked at each other, and I said, "This reminds you of who?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then we both started laughing, but then we both kind of like sighed because we had to deal with the person. But that's where America's headed. That's where society's headed. Is Idiocracy. I'm not going to name who the roommate was, but one of my roommates in my life. That's who it reminded me of. You need to do that Zen stuff with more class. No, I don't actually. And also, I'm German, okay? I'm German. Look, here's another deal. I will reveal something to you guys. They give you a range on DNA. All right, they give you a range from X percentage to this percentage, and then they place you somewhere in the range. Your German range will always be towards the left, the lesser side, and then they'll bump up the other ones because they don't want you to know you're German. All right. So I'm about 60-70% German. All right. So don't call me the other thing. All right. Let's just keep that. That's kind of crazy though that she's Jewish.